Hello and welcome. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everybody who is joining us today. My name is Terry Budek, and I'm the manager for co-curricular student learning and development. And today we're providing this session for those who are supporting a student who will be starting at Centennial College this fall. So this session is going to include information about academic supports, about your personal well-being, your social well-being, also about how you can be part of this community and how the students who are starting will be part of a community here. And we will also mention student services that are available. To begin for today, I do want to offer a land acknowledgement. Anishinaabe journalist and author of Seven Fallen Feathers, Tanya Talaga, wrote that we as Indigenous people are living in a constant state of trauma. Our people dying daily due to indifference in a country that has preferred to look away rather than deal with the racism that has existed here since contact. As a part of our commitment to addressing racism, decolonizing, and indigenizing Centennial College, we pay tribute to the legacy of all First Peoples of Canada. I am situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, and I believe locating ourselves is an important way that we honor the land and recognize the history of violence and displacement for diverse Indigenous folks. And while we are not there physically, the college is built on the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. We acknowledge that we are all treaty people and accept our responsibility to honor all our relations. Thank you again for joining us today. And I would like to now introduce each panelist. Actually, I'll have each panelist introduce yourself. And please, if you can share the area of the college you work with and maybe how long you've worked at the college. And Paula, we will start with you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Paula Greenwood, and I work in advising and pathways services. So I work with all of the success advisors and pathways advisors and the advising network of faculty and staff available to your students while you're at the college. I've been with the college for about 5 years now, and I'm happy to share a little bit with you today. Thanks for joining us. Over to Chris.
Hi, everyone. My name is Christopher Short. I'm a security operations coordinator here at Centennial College. Tomorrow will actually be my 1 year at the college. So I'll be here for 1 year, and I'm ensuring that everyone here that comes to the college does so safely and graduates also safely. Off to Olga.
Hi everyone, dear parents and supporters of students. My name is Olga. I work and represent here International Department. We admit your students, we service your students once they end, we start working with them before they enter, and we see them off when they graduate. So our job usually involves registrations, admissions, international immigration consulting, so the students maintain their status and graduate as they should. So I'm going to pass it to Alyssa now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Alyssa Ramprasad. I am the co-curricular student engagement coordinator at Centennial College. I work along with Terry and, wait, sorry, one second. Along with Terry and the Experience Centennial team. So in my role, I work specifically with engaging with students in, traditionally in on-campus settings, but right now we're in a virtual learning space. So I am responsible for the e-mentorship program, another program called Thursdays Together, and Centennial Meetups, which I will talk about a little bit in more detail to come. I've been at the college now for a while. I started in 2011, so it's been a while. And prior to my role here in this department, I used to work in the international department. So looking forward to giving you more information. I'm gonna pass it off to Bindia now.
Hi everyone, my name is Bindia. I'm the Health and Wellness Education Coordinator I work with the Center for Accessible Learning and Counseling Services. So our role is focused on ensuring that students have mental health and wellness supports so that they can thrive while they're at Centennial. I've been at the college only for about 2 years, and really glad that you're here with us to join us and discuss all the supports at Centennial. So I'm going to pass it back to Terry.
Thank you. I do want to share that the format of today is I have a series of about 6 questions that I am going to ask our panelists, but there is a Q&A button. So if you are watching this live, you are welcome to submit any of your questions that you have through the Q&A feature, and then we will either be responding to it in that thread, or we're going to respond to it live at the end. So I will begin with our first question. And this, Paula, if you would start us off, with the majority of classroom learning taking place online, can you please give a brief overview of how students will be expected to learn this semester, and what academic support will students have available to them?
Thanks, Terry. Yes, so I can go over what students can expect this semester. First, I want to share, I'm just going to share my screen with you. And hopefully you're going to be able to see. I'm just sharing my browser with you. And so right now you'll be able to see 3 very important portals that your student will be accessing and logging into. One being something called eCentennial, which is where all of the program related information is. So all of the course material, it's the learning platform where faculty will interact and the course outlines will be. The second important portal is the student's MyCentennial. It's where the student would update their student information, as well as things like paying fees, seeing their final grades and records, and building their timetable and registering. The third important portal is their students' MyCentennial email address, which students have access to and are really expected to check and communicate. It's the one way the college and faculty communicate with students. Students can certainly forward to a personal email address, but it is their responsibility to be checking that. Through their MyCentennial email, they have access to something called Office 365. So they have an Outlook, calendar, as well as access to things like Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Microsoft Teams, and all of the different apps on the cloud. So just so you're knowing in terms of what they have available to them. The other thing I want to highlight is that at Centennial College, your student will have a number of student services available to them. Advisors and faculty. One of the things I want to highlight is that your student has a success advisor who will connect them or help connect them to all of the resources that are being offered virtually. And so students can find that by going to centennialcollege.ca/advising and clicking on their current student, and it lists their advisor by program. Specific information is listed there. And then lastly, I want to be able to share that your student has access to the library resources that have a number of included resources that are free to students, including library guides related to their programs. But I did want to let you know as well that many students don't necessarily know that there's access to learning strategists and tutors, and they can even become a tutor online if they're excelling in a certain area, and they can book an appointment with either a learning strategist or a math tutor. So those are a few tips I wanted to be able to share with you, as well as I wanted to be able to just give a few tips around making sure that this learning environment is very different in terms of us being remote, and probably you may be around your student while they're learning, potentially. So students really should have a quiet designated space with ideally headphones. If you're in the same room with your student, just giving them that extra space and autonomy to learn. But also if you wanted to sit in on a session with one of the staff, just that you're making sure that you're disclosing that and that you're letting the person that you're interacting with know that you're there. I want to pass things over to Chris, who's just going to share a little bit about a couple other tips for what to expect. More specifically, if you're coming onto campus, I should say, if your student's coming onto campus.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Paula. So when a student can't complete work online, be it as a part of a lab, which is more hands-on, and they need to physically be on campus, it becomes then a three-step process for them to actually gain access to the building and partake in the lab. The first step would be completing the online training, which is done through eCentennial. This is a prerequisite to all those who want to attend the campus and gives you the health and safety guidelines and what to expect when you arrive. The second step, once that is completed, is to arrive on campus and complete a pre-health questionnaire. This pre-screening questionnaire is so that the college knows that everybody who comes on is healthy and safe to partake in the labs that are happening that day. After that the second step is completed, you move on to the third step, which is when you're on campus, you are partaking in the lab, you need to make sure that you do it safely and you follow all the rules and regulations that you were trained upon and that was notified to you when you arrived via signage or any communication that was sent out to you. Make sure that when you're on site, you follow all floor markings, you wash your hands, you wear a mask at all times, and you listen to all the rules and regulations that was detailed to you in your training. Once you're on site, feel free to ask any security staff on hand, any questions or any clarification you need. Just know that we're here to help you. We want to make sure that you do everything at Centennial safely and that you feel safe when you're doing it.
Thank you, Chris. I think that went into our next question about if a student must attend a lab on campus, about those safety measures. So I'm going to move on to another question, and then we're going to come back to some of these points later. So if we're going to be, if you have questions specifically about your student's schedule and how to even know if your student is coming onto campus, we can answer that at the end of the Q&As. But the next question I should say is that getting connected to peers and being involved is very important to a student's overall success. Alyssa, I'm going to start with you. How can students learn of the various activities available to them? How are students able to create new friendships during their time at the college, and particularly now while most of us are virtual?
Awesome. So thanks for the question. I can lead first by saying there are many ways that students can get involved, digitally, online. I know we have the term, social distancing, but it's more of a physical distancing in my opinion. We don't have to be social distance as long as we're doing it in a safe way. So I'm going to talk first about the Experience Centennial app. So this is an app that all students have access to. You can use your smartphone, if you have an iPhone, Android, and you can actually use the web version as well if you're not able to get on the app through a cell phone. And it's pretty much your one-stop shop to all things Centennial. It tells you everything that's happening on campus, important dates, details of upcoming deadlines. So it's pretty much like a digital planner, but also gives the students opportunities to connect with one another through another feature of the app, which is called Groups. And the reason why this is a really cool and interesting way to get students involved is because it's completely safe, and the students use their My Centennial credentials to log into the app for every time they try to use the app. That way, we are aware that it's all Centennial students on the app, posting information on the app, and communicating on the app. So that answers the first question of how to get connected to peers and making sure that students are still able to get connected, especially when we're not on campus. So to the second questions, now how can students create new friendships during their time at the college? Well, we found that as a challenge, especially when COVID started and the campus shut down. But we were able to create a new program and a new digital program or online program called eMentorship. And how it works is we pair a second semester or higher student with a new student that's coming into Centennial for the first time. The terms we use is e-mentor as a second year or second semester student or higher, or an e-protege for a new semester student. So we match them in a variety of things. The first way we try to match them is based on their academic program. So we do our best to try to find a student that's for your student, a student that's in the same program, but at a higher semester or a higher year. If that doesn't, match up, because it depends on how many e-mentors we have, we will try to then place them with a student within the same academic school. So School of Advancement, School of Community Health Studies, and so on. And then we have another way of matching, which is based on hobbies and interests, a lot of other criteria within, the application process. So students are encouraged to apply online through the Centennial College website. If I don't have the option to paste the link into the chat function, but you can type in the Centennial College website e-mentorship program, and the program will pop up with the applications there. So students can go straight to the section that says e-protege, fill in the online application form, and I will go through the applications and match them up with an e-mentor. And they get started. The official start date of the program is September 21st. So there is still some time to get your student involved and to encourage them to apply for the program. And that's the e-mentorship program. The second thing that we have on the go is a program called Thursdays Together. So this space was designed for students to come together once a week on a Thursday for about 2 hours to kind of just hang out and talk, like locker hallway talk, conversations about how to be successful and how to deal with hybrid learning, how to find resources on campus, just connect with students maybe in their academic program or in their academic school. Just a way for students to meet with one another, especially during this time when we are physically distancing. And lastly, we have Centennial Meetups. So this is a very, very new program, and I'm super excited about it because it's specific to particular affinity groups, so social groups that your student may be a part of, Black students, students with disabilities, LGBTQ2+, to name a few. And we give the student the opportunity to suggest types of groups that they want to be a part of or that they identify with. So they can connect with me directly, and the same way they can go straight onto the Centennial College website, type in Centennial Meetups, and they'll find the link. So that's one part of it, is the social group part. Then we have the academic part, where it's specific to the academic school, and the students can join the team and they can say, hey, I'm a part of School of Advancement. They join the team and they can connect with all other students within the School of Advancement that join the team as well. So those are a couple of the really cool things that we have on the go for now. And yeah, like I said, the Experience Centennial app is the gateway to all things that are happening on campus. So if you had a minute to check it out, encourage your student to download the app, log in, and you can navigate that app with them or encourage them to navigate it on their own. Thanks so much.
And just quick add to what Alyssa just mentioned, the international department also invites all international students specifically. The session is open to everybody, to every student, but internationals especially are invited to join all our programming, all our events that we're hosting, and the best way to get in is possibly access My Centennial, because all the programs are posted there, the updates, where to go, how to register. And I would encourage you possibly use the Facebook for Centennial College International Education. I'm showing the app right now. So it's that's how you gets to find each other, how they make friends. And although we're staying in the E format right now, that's the best way to connect, communicate, share the experiences. So we encourage everybody who is even overseas right now, please connect with us, and it will be the great pathway to the great things to come when you're able to come to enter Canada and study on campus.
Thank you so much. The next question that I have is, I'll start with Bindia, but this is a question that a majority of our panelists will also want to speak to. What supports are available to students to support student well-being and accessibility related needs? And how do students access those supports available to them?
Sure, thanks Terry for the question. So in terms of CALCS, we focus on three main areas: mental health, disability-related needs, and well-being. So if students are struggling with anxiety, depression, if they're experiencing stress or a sense of isolation, they're welcome to schedule an appointment with our counselors. In order to access that appointment, they can self-book by going to centennialcollege.ca/calcs, and they can book whenever they're available to meet with a counselor. These sessions are free and confidential, and no insurance is required. So if students have accessibility-related needs, so if they've had an IEP in high school, a diagnosed disability, or if they've been struggling in school, they're also welcome to come see us. So essentially, the student would book an appointment to meet with a counselor for an intake session, and the counselor and the student work collaboratively to determine what accommodations make sense. And similar to the personal counseling, students can self-book those appointments on their own and when they're available. We also focus on well-being services for students. So students are welcome to attend educational workshops that focus on stress management, physical activity, nutrition. They can self-register by going to the Student Health and Wellness website and booking whichever workshops they're interested in. We're also offering various psychoeducational groups and courses. Thriving in Action specifically is a course we're offering this fall. It's focused on helping students build their resilience and sense of well-being. And similar to the other workshops, students can book and register whenever they're available. So in terms of when CALCS is able to provide services, we are open 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. And students are always welcome to contact us via email or telephone. Our email is calcs@centennialcollege.ca. And then our telephone is the regular Centennial 416-289-5000, extension 3850. If you have any additional questions about any of those supports, feel free to put them in the Q&A section.
And once again, for international students specifically, we would like to encourage, what I would like to add is that there might be a language barrier for supporters for you, specifically parents and spouses and potentially children who care about your international student who is studying with us or studying with us now. So so you should know that international department is staffed with admission officers, immigration advisors, and support team members who speak different languages. So if you have a question that you're more comfortable to ask in your own language, you can also reach out. And the best way to go about that is to email to sage@centennialcollege.ca, sage@centennialcollege.ca, and your question in your own language will be triaged to the appropriate team member who speaks your language. So it's possibly the best way to go about the initial inquiry, and we will try to assist you as much as we can. We will connect with CALCS if needed, but it might be a standard question we can address. So international department is here for all international students and their supporters.
And on the security side, I just want everybody to know that we have 24-hour security on campus, and all our officers are trained in SafeTalk. So if there's ever any issues with, if the student is not feeling right in any way and simply does not have access to any services, just know they can always come to security. My guards are always ready to assist anyone who has an issue, whether it be security related or not. They are very easy to talk to, okay? So there's our emergency line. You can get in contact if you ever need direct contact with anyone, which is 416-439-4357. A non-emergency line that we have set up, if you have any general inquiries about the college or security at all, you can call 416-289-5240. You will always be in touch with a person on the end of the security line, so you'll never receive a machine if the student ever needs to talk to a person immediately.
Thanks, Chris. Paula, did you have anything else that you wanted to add into that question?
The only quick thing I wanted to mention was that students should also be encouraged to speak with their faculty first if they need any support. They're trained as well to get connected to all of the resources mentioned here today, as well as I mentioned earlier that your students have access to their success advisor as well, who if they can't find these numbers or they don't know how to access these resources, they can help them connect as well.
Thank you. My next question is for Olga. In the environment that we're in right now, it is possible that a student might be starting the semester from a different geographical location. So they may not physically be in Toronto. What advice do you have for international students and their families who might be waiting to come here to study?
It's a great question. It's a complex question, but I will start with encouraging everybody, or maybe just saying, let's not panic, because yes, we have a fair number of students studying overseas, studying virtually, registering for the semester as we speak, because we're now in the last couple of weeks before the semester begins. The complicated process of getting your study permits is still in process. We're still waiting for you, for your students to receive the first stage approval. We encourage still students to start registering, and the best way to contact and ask the questions in regards to whether you can or cannot, whether you should or should not start in September 2020, is to contact your admission officer. That the person that you received, the person in charge of the region, and you likely know the name of that person. They can communicate. You can communicate your decision or your student's decision whether you're studying or not studying in September. But so you know, for everybody who is studying September 2020 online, virtually from the home country, any eligibility for upcoming immigration status, any eligibility for postgraduate work permits upon completion of your program, Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada allow the students to study online for who are starting in September. Your students will be eligible for postgraduate work permits. So it's a very complex situation. I would encourage you to email us, or your students to email us, and then we will tackle that specific case on an individual basis, because there are many factors that go into play. So we deal with the individual students as per request usually. So what you should know also, that the best way for students to learn about what's happening on the campus, how to get in touch with the international advisors, is to contact Sage at centennialcollege.ca. We do have events planned for students who are overseas. We do have information sessions on how to go about the extensions or any other immigration related inquiries. So all of that is offered, and every week we have something happening. We do encourage students to stay tuned. We send a fair number of emails, and they may be tired of all the information that's coming their way right now. The tip I would share right now is, please read the emails. When you contact us, please indicate your student number so we can get to responding to your inquiry right away. And for the arrival to Canada, right now, due to travel restrictions imposed by Canada Border Security and Immigration, Refugee, Citizenship Canada, and actually they go by the health administration of health authorities in Canada, students who are studying overseas will be able to come to Canada when the travel restrictions are lifted or eased. At this point, they're staying in place until September 30th. Once we hear more information, when we know when the travel restrictions are changed, we'll definitely be updating everybody, every student who is registered and actively pursuing studies right now. We will be in touch. That information is always shared on a timely basis. And please be mindful that the situation is pretty fluid. The immigration related updates happening, they can happen any day. The most recent one was as of August 26th, when all the future eligibility for postgraduate work permits was open for every student who started in May, September, or even January 2021. So all of that is changing, and we are the best way to get information, because we have on staff, like myself, and I have colleagues who are licensed professional immigration. We can advise you accordingly. Your agents might be your helpers as well, but we know the information as it relates to studies at Centennial. So it's best to receive the information from us as opposed to listening to possibly grapevine, and students tend to do a lot of that. Connect with us. We have the most updated and most verifiable information. In terms of, well, I guess what else I need to mention is students who are able to arrive to Canada will be supported with a support letter to overcome travel restrictions. What support letter means is that we advise the airlines or Canada Border Security officers of the program delivery method, and if the program is now hybrid, which means the student needs to be on campus, we can issue the letter supporting a student and explaining to the officer that meets them at the airport when they arrive to Canada that they are needed in Canada. So this is applicable to students who receive their study permit before March 18. Once that restriction is changed, we will again update that, and everybody who is overseas and indicated that they're willing to come to Canada mid-semester, that also be possible. What is in place right now is the last thing I want to mention is a 14-day quarantine. Everybody who is arriving right now or will be arriving at a later point, because they will be arriving, they are supposed to self-quarantine for 14 days. We have a specific plan that a student is encouraged to fill out, and that plan with the Centennial College logo, they fill all the information that helps many students who has been arriving for the entire month of August and will be arriving soon. That helps them to overcome travel restrictions and explain why they're actually physically entering Canada right now. Because we're in a situation that not many students can do that. Many more want to come to Canada, but the travel restrictions are in place and we're dealing with that hectic situation. But please be assured that we are doing all we can to greet your student at in Canada, and the entire international department working very hard to welcome them here. So connect with Sage at centennialcollege.ca for all the information that you might need, questions that they might still have for the registration, and we'll be happy to greet them here when they come.
Great, thank you so much. I do want to just point out, if you have a question, to please put it into the Q&A. I saw a hand, I think it was a hand raised from a participant, so please make sure you type in your question, and then we will get to that shortly. Our next question is for Paula, who's going to take us through what you might want to do when you want to contact the college, but as a supporter of a student and not the student themselves.
Okay, thanks, Terry. We're going to start with a poll. So as a supporter, you may want to contact the college directly. So we wanted to try the poll feature right now and just ask you a question, and you can either pick a yes or no. And we want to ask you to indicate if someone from the college will let you know if my student doesn't attend class or fails. Just yes or no, just kind of getting a sense of, do you think that the college will contact you if the student doesn't attend classes or fails a course? Okay, I don't see the poll coming up. So we're gonna just keep on going. So think to yourself, oh, the poll is coming. Okay, so let's just see if the poll is able to come up, and then you can indicate. So as you're going through this is something that the students, when they attend, they may be asked to do as well in terms of indicating on a poll. Okay, So let's keep going on. So thinking about yes or no. So the answer, we won't do the poll and I'll just go right to the answer. So the answer is actually no. And a lot of people who are either parents, partners, even especially if you're funding your student to attend the college, I think one of the biggest surprises is that the college will not reach out around anything because of our freedom of privacy. The student who is attending is where the privacy would lay. So for example, things like grades or attendance, if they haven't really checked in, then the college will not reach out. And if you call in as a supporter, the college can't disclose anything to you as well. And so what we encourage you as a supporter is just to really keep open lines of communication with your student and really help empower them to both attend, share whatever they want to share with you in terms of grades and results. And then also things like, I mean, you can certainly help them sort of craft a response, or you can help encourage them in terms of what they may want to say, or that you can advocate for them, but it really needs to be the student who's the person who's getting the information and also deciding whether or not they want to share it with you. The other piece is in certain situations where if your student is registered and has a registered disability with CALCS, or Accessible Learning and Counseling Service, there is the opportunity where in some specific cases the supporter, the student would sign a release of confidentiality, and then the supporter would be brought in to the information, but those are in sort of those rare situations. And so I just wanted to make sure I shared that, and also just kind of really encouraging you to keep that line of communication open with your student.
Thank you so much. If we do have any questions now, I'm going to circle back to folks and just chat about some of the content that you think is really important that students know, that either we didn't say when we first asked the question that you thought of since, or if you have additional information. So I'll also double check that for Q&A. There's the one question, and we'll start with Paula, is how do I know how my classes are going to run? So how will students find out what their classes will look like, and maybe if they're hybrid or not?
So that's a really good question, and one that can be confusing for this term because it's not what I'll share my screen with you as well and just share a link if that's okay. So I'm just going to share my screen and share a resource here. So hopefully everyone can see understanding your timetable for students. You're seeing that. So there's a few different things that when a student does register, they're going to see on their timetable in their MyCentennial something that says probably TBA for a course in terms of the time. And that's okay. That means they've registered, the course is happening. Unless they have a specific time listed here, they don't need to log in at any specific time to their eCentennial Learning Portal. And a couple days before their courses start, so the first day of classes is September 14th, Monday, September 14th for most full-time courses. So a few days before, the student will log into their eCentennial and they will see their courses listed there. And they will see their course outlines. Some faculty are running their courses by something called asynchronous. And that's just a fancy way of saying that a student can access the materials sort of anytime, anywhere, by highly engaged faculty. So they're going to be learning the materials, and it may be something like they're submitting something at the end of each week that the faculty has posted videos and potentially some of their lectures and sharing things right on their eCentennial, but they can access that anytime, anywhere. So that's where the student might see TBA on their courses. If a student is taking a course that's synchronous, that really means that there's a live class happening, and that would be a live class happening online. or they may have a synchronous lab where Chris explained how to safely return to campus for that specific lab, only if a student's registered in a hybrid program. Okay, and so on the college's main website too, if you're unsure what the student is taking in terms of whether or not the program is delivered in a hybrid format or completely online, on the college's main website, there's a link that says Fall 2020 Full-Time Program Delivery Modes, and it lists every single program by delivery mode of online, fully online with the computer icon, or hybrid, meaning that most of your courses, the courses of the student will be online, and a small component, the lab component, would be the on campus or on facilities course. And the student at this point, due to safety, is only allowed to attend during that very specific time of their lab. And for all other purposes, the facilities are closed, only just available for that specific lab time. I just wanted to send it over to Chris because I know he wanted to add in one piece about, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. And then I know Chris wanted to add one piece about the facilities.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Paula. The one thing that all students need to be concerned with most, as well as falling in line with all the health and safety regulations, is that when you're on site, we have no services open, okay? Normally we have Tim Hortons, we have our own local restaurant and cafe available to students, and other different facilities like you can get food and hang out at the school. Just know that all common areas are not accessible right now. They're only accessible to students that have multiple labs back to back, okay? Such as our Morningside campus with their healthcare sector. So I just want to make sure all parents and students are aware that when you come to campus, please prepare your food accordingly, because once you're here, only vending machines are available.
All right, thank you. Alyssa, do you have anything that you wanted to add to any of the conversations that we've had so far?
I do, sorry, forgot to unmute myself. If there's anything, I'd say, you know, tell your student to do their due diligence or do their best to get involved online. And I know it's not an ideal situation when we're trying to get social and, you know, create friendships and that sort of thing, but we are providing, you know, the opportunity for students to meet. So I would say as a supporter, the best way is for, you know, a student to have peers that they can share this experience with. And the best way to do that, like I said, get involved online, you know, explore all options available, you know, to the students, and just support them by saying, you know, just letting them know that we do have resources, and there are other students that are looking to get connected with other students in the same situation. COVID-19 has definitely, you know, thrown us a loop for this time, and I know that they had a different impression of what their time at Centennial would look like, especially for fall. And with our orientations and all of our programs being run online, I think as a supporter, you can just encourage students to, you know, take that time to connect with other peers and share their experiences with us as well. So in hindsight, I say, you know, Experience Centennial app, that's where everything is at. And if you had a couple of minutes to just share that information with your supporters, that would be a great help for them.
Thank you. Olga, I'll pass it to you if there's anything else that you would like to add from what you have already mentioned.
Well, it's international students, like I said, it's a complex time, unprecedented, you can say, and there's a lot concerning arrival of students and the immigration status of students. It's really hard to generalize at this point, but we would like students to get connected. Again, we've shared the resources through which you or your students can email and ask your specific inquiry. We usually tend to deal on a student by student basis, but for the friends making and for the groups meeting and for all kinds of support that international students can access. We encourage everybody to just stay connected. There are tons of resources that we're offering. As you can see, there are many groups are participating in this session, and there are many more to come. So it's just to be informed is possibly the key to success right now for all students and international specifically. So just get involved, stay connected. That's what will be my advice for the end of the session.
Thank you so much. And Bindia, I'd like to give you the virtual floor if there's any additional pieces that you wanted to mention.
I would just say in terms of supporting students is just to encourage them to have fun. I know it's definitely challenging to do given that, you know, we're doing learning from a distance, but this is still a very pivotal time. And there are so many great opportunities to connect and really tap into all the great things that Centennial offers. So have fun, explore, and just to try new things. Yeah, thanks, Terry.
Thank you. I think we have hopefully answered all your questions and mentioned some of the things you were probably wondering about without having to insert a question in there. If there are any other final words, I will just let folks know that the college is definitely here to help. We're here to help and support your students any way we can. And if you want another email address that we'll make sure gets into the chat is our Experience CC, which is Experience Centennial College. It's our email that any student can connect with. So if your student has questions, please encourage them to reach out to either their success advisor or to the different departments. The Experience CC at centennialcollege.ca email address, which is now in the chat box, that is open, and we have people on the Experience Centennial team who are going to be checking that email. We check it all the time and we answer as best we can, as quickly as we can. But like Alyssa said, also encourage your students to join our Experience Centennial app as their one-stop shop to learn how to get involved at the college. Okay, I want to thank all of our panelists today for being with us and providing your words of wisdom and also some more information within your areas of expertise. And we look forward to welcoming your students here in the fall semester. And if you do have more questions, we are just either one email or one phone call away. Okay, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
There.
Bye.